Guys, what's going on? James here, and the first Tampa Bay Buccaneers preseason game is very, very close. It is August 9th, which is currently 4 days away. It'll also be 4 days away by the time this video is uploaded. I hope to get it uploaded before midnight, which will then make it 3 days away, so hopefully it's 4 days away. But that means that I can finally start talking a little bit about certain players to watch out for in the Buccaneers' first preseason game versus the Miami Dolphins. I know we still have a lot of training camp stuff going on. There's going to be another training camp August 7th, which I will be uploading a vlog-style video for, as well as a live stream, so definitely watch out for that. But I wanted to talk a little bit about some players to watch out for the first Tampa Bay Buccaneers preseason game. And obviously, I'm going to talk about a few guys on the offensive side of the ball and a few on the defensive side of the ball. And a lot of these guys are going to be second, third stringers because that's probably what we're going to see a lot of in this game. These guys need to take advantage of these opportunities so that they can flat out either A, keep their spot on the roster, or B, make the roster. You know, a lot of stuff can come down to these preseason games and how much you impress on a game day field rather than just impressing in practice. If you can translate how you do in practice over to the actual game day, that can go a really long way. So the first guy that I want to talk about is Shaun Wilson, the undrafted Tampa Bay Buccaneers running back. A lot of you guys in my comments section, and pretty much you guys, the MrBucsNation community, have been some of the only guys who are talking about this, so thank you so much. You have been telling me a whole lot about how good Shaun Wilson is, and more as time goes on, I keep on, I'm slowly getting convinced by you guys. You guys are doing a wonderful job of keeping me filled in on Shaun Wilson. And I've been keeping an eye on him. He's very versatile. He's been used in the kick returning and the punt returning and at running back, and he's looked pretty good in all three aspects of that game. So he's very versatile, which I think that the Buccaneers are going to find that to be very valuable. And in this upcoming preseason game, I highly expect him to get a good amount of carries because the Buccaneers already know what they have in guys like Charles Sims, like Peyton Barber, and like Jaquiz Rodgers. They don't really know what they have in terms of game day ability with guys like Ronald Jones and with guys like Shaun Wilson. I think we are going to see a little bit of Ronald Jones, but I think possibly we're going to see a lot of Shaun Wilson as well. We might see a little bit of Jaquiz Rodgers and Charles Sims in there as well. I could be completely wrong, but I hope that they use Shaun Wilson a lot because if he can translate how he does in practice on to the game day field, like I said, that's really valuable. And I think he has the ability to be kind of like another Peyton Barber situation where an undrafted running back comes in, he just puts his head down and works, does his job, he does his job pretty well, and he ends up making the roster and being valuable later on. He could totally end up being another Peyton Barber. I think that is very possible. I hope we see him. Now, he'd probably have Ryan Griffin as his quarterback. I don't expect Ryan Fitzpatrick or James Winston to honestly be in the game that much, especially those two. I don't expect them to be in the game that much at all. So hopefully Ryan Griffin can give him some good opportunities. Hopefully the passing game can get going so the running game can get going as well. Because then we would be able to highlight Shaun Wilson's ability. Speaking of the passing game, another guy I want to watch out for, well, three guys, I could say. I'm going to bunch all three of them together here. But Justin Watson, Bernard Reedy, and Bobo Wilson. So for Justin Watson, let's talk about that first. The reason I'm so interested in watching Justin Watson is because, honestly, guys, Justin Watson hasn't done anything too flashy for me. I know he's kind of put his head down and he hasn't really done a whole lot wrong, but he hasn't done anything that's really made me go, holy crap, He hasn't had very, obviously Chris Godwin's a bad comparison, but they were kind of drafted in a similar area. Wasn't Godwin a third-round pick, I believe? So Watson hasn't done anything that made me think like, yeah, he 100, I still think he's going to be making the roster, but he hasn't done a whole lot to separate himself from these other guys like Bobo Wilson and like Bernard Reedy. So I think he needs to have a good game coming out here for preseason week 1 just so he can prove that, like, yeah, they drafted me for a pretty darn good reason because I'm a pretty good wide receiver. So I think he needs this just to kind of give himself a little bit of a confident boost moving forward and just to show how important it was that the Buccaneers drafted him, just prove how deep we are at wide receiver. Moving on to Bobo Wilson. Actually, I'll talk about Bobo Wilson in a minute. Moving on to Bernard Reedy, okay? Now, we got rid of Bernard Reedy, and I was sad. I really liked Bernard Reedy, and I still love Bernard Reedy. And then he went to the New England Patriots, and then he made the Super Bowl, and now he's back with us. He didn't win the Super Bowl, but now he's back with us, right? and I really think that he's an underrated player for this team. His value on special teams as a returner specifically, and as a deep threat wide receiver, kind of that guy who can just put him in the slot, send him on a streak, and just bomb it to him, and he can beat the coverage. That, I think, is how you need to use Bernard Reedy. I think he can still be a good, short yardage wide receiver. He's a deep threat to me. And I think he's kind of in a similar mold to Deshaun Jackson, where he's a valuable special teams guy and he's a valuable deep threat. And I think if you can maximize his potential in week 1, cough, cough, Ryan Griffin, please throw him some deep balls. And, hopefully he can handle some of these returns and show how, important he really is. Me, ideally, obviously my ideal situation was I would hope that the Buccaneers would carry 7 wide receivers. I know they're not going to. But if you were to carry like Bernard Reedy and have him obviously not play at wide receiver, just be a return specialist, I don't really know if people would complain that much. Kind of like a Devin Hester-ish type role. I don't think that'd be bad. I really think that Bernard Reedy's that valuable on special teams in terms of return. He's certainly one of the better returners we've had in a while because we don't use Deshaun Jackson. So, Reedy, it's up to Reedy. So I really hope that he comes out this first game and he's able to, again, make a strong case to make the roster. They're probably not going to keep 7 wide receivers, so it seems unlikely, but who knows. And moving on to Bobo Wilson, okay? Now, Bobo Wilson right now is pretty darn close to, in my opinion, locking down a roster spot on this team. I think he pretty much has it, but you never know. Now, there has been a lot of hype for Bobo Wilson this whole offseason. Jameis Winston has said he's pretty much like Antonio Brown. Pause for that comment. Dirk Cutter has said that Bobo Wilson has had one of the best training camps and off seasons this year. Okay, that's 2. That's the face of your franchise and your head coach, both giving ringing endorsements to Bobo Wilson. And a lot of you guys seem to have a lot of faith in Bobo Wilson as well, and the training camps that I've been to, he's looked good. He certainly hasn't done a lot of things wrong. I haven't seen him just flat out drop a lot of passes, if any. I don't think I've seen him drop 1 pass. So I think he's been able to come out and just showcase his ability and just show that he can be a good wide receiver on this team, and he can be wonderful depth for this team. Maybe move his way up the depth chart eventually, but that one's still up in the air, obviously. So for him, this preseason game is important to him because honestly, if he has a good preseason game, like preseason week 1, that could be the final point in locking down a roster spot for him. This could be it. If he has a good preseason game, I could totally see the coaching staff going, all right, he's good. He's going to make the roster. Our wide receiver core is set, So I really think that Bobo Wilson needs to come out and have a good game. Moving a little bit on to the defensive side of the ball, and yes, obviously we could talk about so many offensive players. We could talk about so many offensive players. Moving on to the defensive side of the ball, there's a few guys that I want to talk about who hopefully can have a good first preseason game. Jack Sitchy's the first one. Jack Sitchy is a little bit behind in terms of the linebacker training camp battle so far. Mike Smith I think it was Mike Smith, I think it was either Mike Smith or Dirk Cutter, but one of them came out and said, the guys who are in the lead right now in terms of the linebacker competition for the backup spot is like Devontae Bond, Riley Bullough, and Cameron Lynch. That means Jack Sitchy's the guy, on the outside looking in. So if he needs to come out and have a really good first preseason game, get a lot of tackles, make sure he's around the ball, and just show that he can be a productive backup linebacker and better than guys like Bullough, like Bond, and like Cameron Lynch. Because, right now, it's a tough uphill battle for him. And I think if he does have a good first preseason game, then that can go a long way in showing that Sitchy is the kind of guy. I believe a lot in Sitchy, okay? He was drafted in the 6th round. If he wouldn't have gotten injured in the past, he could have potentially been as high up as a 3rd-round draft pick. So, there's a lot. Sitchy's oozing potential, right? Sitchy is just, he has a lot of potential to be something really nice, another late-round linebacker steal for this team. So I really hope that he's able to win a backup linebacker spot and just keep on progressing. Maybe he'll make the practice squad, who knows? But I hope he does really good. Another couple of guys that I'm going to pair these two together because I think they're going to be playing a lot, is MJ Stewart and Carlton Davis. I think those guys are honestly going to be the starting outside and starting nickel cornerbacks for most of this game, I would assume. So I really want them to have a good game. I'm pretty sure they're going to be having a good game. I think they will. And the reason I want to keep an eye on them is because this could go along with this battle against Vernon Hargreaves for his dual starting cornerback job, right? MJ's going to be battling Stewart for the nickel spot during nickel packages, and Carlton Davis is going to be battling MJ Stewart for the outside cornerback spot in non-nickel packages. He's also going to be battling guys like Ryan Smith. So Carlton Davis and MJ Stewart both have a really long way to go in terms of these position battles, and they've both looked really good in training camp. They both have been having some of the better training camps for defensive players so far, specifically MJ Stewart, by the way. MJ Stewart's a beast. So I really want to see these guys in a game. I want to see him go up against some of these backup Dolphins wide receivers. Who's the backup Dolphins quarterback? Is it Matt Moore still? I don't know who it is. But hopefully they get a couple of picks on him. That'd be nice. That'd be nice. You usually see a lot of turnovers in these preseason games, so I'm hoping for some from our rookies. Speaking of our rookies, another guy that I want to throw in there, two guys actually, is Godwin Igwebuike. I don't know. Godwin. And Jordan Whitehead. So specifically Godwin, I want to see on special teams because we haven't been hearing a lot from training camp, have we? We haven't heard like, oh, who impressed Dirk? And he says, oh, well, Godwin the safety impressed. Or, hey, Mike Smith, who impressed? Well, you know, Godwin the safety impressed. We haven't heard any of that. So I think Godwin needs to come out here, have a good game on special teams. I'm sure he'll be getting some safety time as well. I still think he can hit like a truck, so hopefully he hits people like a truck. I know they have the new rule where if you lead with your helmet, it's a penalty, so he's going to have to be careful about that. But I want to see how valuable he can be as a special teams player. I mean, at this point in time, it's kind of rough estimating that he might make this roster, but you never know. If he has a good preseason game, he can build off of that momentum. For any of these guys, really, who are on this roster-esque bubble, they have a good first preseason game, they take that momentum, they bring it back into training camp, and they take it through the rest of these preseason games. They could easily make the roster. You know, we still have like a month before the final rosters come out, so you never know. And then Jordan Whitehead, in my opinion, Jordan Whitehead has the potential to be a starter. Maybe this year, maybe not. It just depends. But I think that Justin Evans is pretty locked down in his starting role. But then you start looking at guys like Chris Conte, Keith Tandy, those two specifically, and maybe there's a little bit of wiggle room for Jordan Whitehead to work his way up into that lineup. Maybe he has some good plays. I know he had an interception in practice a couple days ago, so maybe if he has a good preseason game, you know, shows that he's a solid tackler, solid in coverage, and can force turnovers. Maybe he makes it past Keith Tandy after game one, or maybe he makes it, he won't make it up to the starting spot, but maybe he makes it up past like a guy like an Isaiah Johnson or like a Josh Robinson in terms of our overall safety depth. I know Josh Robinson's more of like a special teams ace, but I still feel that Whitehead's pretty much at the bottom right now, and he has to start working his way up the totem pole. And maybe they'll start using him in punt coverages. Maybe we can see how good he is in terms of a punt and kick return coverage type of player, because those guys are always valuable. I mean, Ryan Smith and Josh Robinson, that's pretty much almost exclusively where their value comes into this team, is punt coverages, and they are really freaking good at it. So hopefully some of these guys can go in and just go in and perform. You know, Mitchell Ryan is another guy I want to talk about too, you know, because I think he's very underrated for this team, and I think he's going to dominate if he's playing against some of these backups in terms of, especially now that he's just specifically a defensive tackle and not running with a 3-4 anymore. I want to see what he does as a 4-3 defensive tackle, because I think he could be pretty darn underrated, and, you know, if he dominates, then that just goes to show how dominant our defensive line depth is for sure. But, yeah, I think this video's gone on a little bit long enough. Let me know some players that you guys want to see in, or looking forward to seeing in preseason week 1 down in the comment section below. In 2 days, we're going to be having another training camp day, so vlog and live stream. So that should be fun. And then I'll be doing a preseason week 1 preview probably on the 8th. On the 8th, yeah, so that'll be the day after the preseason thing. And then the preseason game will happen. I'll be doing a live stream at halftime for that, and then I'm going to be doing a post-game live stream, probably with Corey Draper. It'll be with Corey Draper. And then I'll be doing a fully edited video with another review of that as well. So, yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you all enjoyed. Tomorrow, what's tomorrow? Tomorrow's Monday, so I have to make a video. Ooh, what should the video be about? I don't know. I'm sure I'll figure it out. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you all enjoyed. I hope to see a lot of you there August 7th for another training camp. Shout out to Emilio, Patrick, and Jessica, who I met at the last training camp. Shouting you out again because I love you guys. You guys are awesome. I love talking Bucs football with you guys. It's a lot of fun. So yeah, Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Hope you all enjoyed. And as always, I will see you in the next video or live stream. But until then, goodbye for now, guys. And as always, go Bucks.